Good morning, everyone. Based on what transpired this morning, just a quick recap. At around 4:30 or just after 4:30 this morning, the advancing flow did enter into a private property, a residential area. It didn't affect any structures initially, and it did enter into the corner, the southwest corner of a particular parcel on the upper end of the subdivision. The front advanced about 20 yards by about 8 o'clock this morning. So over the course of about 3.5, 4 hours, it went about 20 yards. It was very slow moving. The front that was coming down has extended or advanced roughly 87 yards. So we're rounding that up to 90 yards since yesterday morning. Based on that, if you divided it out in the 24-hour period, we're looking at under 4 yards per hour. But what has been observed through the night, and again, it's an opportunity for me to say thanks to HVO because they've been on the ground round the clock. Their geologists and scientists have been on the ground monitoring the flow advancement and all activities. What they did notice through the night is that we had periods of rapid movement or rapid advancement as well as periods of stalling or very slow movement. And that explains or gives some idea of why we didn't see a very large number because it wasn't spurts. Right now, the flow has advanced since this morning at around 8 o'clock, another maybe 30 yards. The current estimated advancement rate is about 10 yards per hour. Going back to this morning's location, at that time, it put it at 510 yards from the Pahoa Village Road. The terrain in the property that's in, it's a little bit of a slope. So we're watching to see if that slope that takes it down towards the Pahoa Village Road will influence in any way the rate of advancement. And as I said earlier, we didn't have structures involved initially, but shortly after 7 this morning, there on the adjacent property to where it entered, the flow was also widening and coming in the northeast direction. So it entered a second parcel directly adjacent to the first on the south side. And there was a, what we consider a farm structure. There was an old dwelling that had been used recently for like potting of flowers and had potting materials around. So it wasn't an inhabited structure, it was more of a utility structure. It measured only about 115 square feet. It was very small, about a 10 by 15 square building. So that did burn down, and as a result of the lava coming in contact with that. So currently our actions are, again, we're maintaining close contact and communication with the community. As you're aware, over the last 3 days, we've been going door to door throughout the community using our community emergency response teams and civil defense staff, going door to door and just letting people know the status of the flow, as well as we put people on a evacuation advisory based on their location with proximity to the flow path. So we're watching it very closely today. HVO has at least one geologist at the flow front at all times. Other scientists are monitoring conditions in the back to see if there's any other changes, either in indications of spreading, widening, or breakouts. And then we also have our fire department units on the ground at the flow front, prepared to take any actions if we have any other fires not directly related to contact with the flow. So you can imagine if we have a brush fire, they'll be putting out the extending brush fire. If we do have a structure involved and there's any exposures between a second structure that's not in direct contact with the lava, we'll protect that other property. So they are on scene. The road, Pahoa Village Road, remains closed to all traffic except for local residents in that area. We also have within that corridor that's closed the utility companies that are working on protective measures and mitigation for their infrastructure. So they're wrapping poles, raising lines, etc. So there's some large equipment in that area, and that's another reason why we're maintaining the restricted access. One is for the safety and security of everyone. Two, to protect the need for an uninterfered evacuation by the residents. And three is to allow for the utility companies to do what they need to do to provide for uninterrupted service if and when the flow comes through.